Now, Ford is also facing renewed criticism over the now cancelled Greenbelt land swap and his government's use of minister zoning orders. There are allegations that some are being issued to property developers connected to the Ford family. Ford was asked about that, and while he didn't respond to the allegations directly, he maintained his support for using the tool to override municipal planning orders.
It's a tool that the province has been using for decades, and it's a great tool. What the MZOs that we issued to municipalities, and by the way, that asked for the MZOs, over 234,000 people have a roof over their heads. Over 5,000 seniors have long-term care homes now because of the MZO. It created 150,000 jobs. And as long as the municipalities keep sending us a request for MZOs, we're going to continue accelerating the permit process to get shovels in the ground, to build homes for people that need them. Right now, you see the inflation, you see the cost of buying a home is just unattainable for vast majority of people. Our government's doing everything we can to make sure we increase the supply and eventually lower the cost of homes.
We know that the Premier did hold a press briefing earlier today, and the CBC's Megan Fitzpatrick was there. She watched it all, and she says there was a couple of key items that stood out.
Let's start with that RCMP investigation. Yesterday, the Toronto Star reporting that according to their sources, interviews are starting soon. The RCMP is reaching out to people here at Queen's Park to interview them. We learned a few weeks ago that the RCMP has opened up an investigation. They say related to allegations associated to the decision to open up parts of the Greenbelt for development. This is the RCMP's Sensitive and International Investigations branch. The matter had been referred to the RCMP by the Ontario Provincial Police. Doug Ford asked there if he has been contacted by the RCMP for an interview, and he confirmed no, he has not been reached out to by the RCMP on that point. Those documents you were referring to that were released yesterday by two environmental groups, those are mostly to do with changes that the province made to official plans for municipalities throughout the province. The province made some changes to the urban boundaries, meaning some lands were essentially rezoned, redesignated for development. And some of these documents, according to the groups that got them through those Freedom of Information requests, show that some of these changes were being dictated by the Housing Minister's office and political staff within that office, not civil servants. This issue has been somewhat controversial. Some of those changes that were made to those urban boundaries those changes were made in opposition to the municipalities' wishes themselves. And last week, the new housing minister, Paul Calandra, reversed all of those changes, saying he had found when he took over from Steve Clark that there had been too much involvement from Steve Clark's office. Now, Heather, he had never really specified exactly what he found in his review that was troubling to him, but Doug Ford there, when asked about it, saying when Calandra went to him and said he had concerns about some of the language, that Ford had directed him to pull all the changes and reverse them. So that is something that Calandra has now done. But he was asked there, for a bit more detail. What exactly was so concerning? What went wrong in this process in terms of making changes to the urban boundaries? Some of this might sound familiar, Heather, because it kind of echoes what happened with the Greenbelt land swap in terms of what the Auditor General's report and the Integrity Commissioner's report found, that those changes, the decisions that were made in terms of what land to take out of the Greenbelt, which is protected land that's not supposed to be developed, that those changes were directed within the minister's office by the minister's chief of staff at the time, who has also since resigned.
That is the CBC's Megan Fitzpatrick reporting for us from Toronto.